How many among you can let a day pass without talking to anybody? Can you stand being uncommunicative for some time? Why can't we help but talk? What is there in communication that we cannot live without? You must now be well aware that ours is an extremely verbal world. In this world, verbal personal contact cannot be avoided. Much more so is the opportunity for a two-way flow of information, which is vital to one's success. That is why college students like you need many of these skills to be proficient and globally competitive. Two of these obvious skills are writing and speaking. Such verbal communication skills, especially speaking, which is the focus of concentration in this course, have to be learned and developed. Otherwise, you limit your career possibilities. Our lesson is about communication and you.
What is communication?
Communication is the dual or two-way process of transmitting messages from one person to another. It is the symbolic interaction between two or more people that influences each other's behavior. With it, not only does one make his or her own self understood, he or she also gets to understand others.
What are the aspects of communication?
The aspects of communication are as follows: the verbal or linguistic aspect, and the nonverbal or extralinguistic aspect. The verbal or linguistic aspect is the aspect that makes use of words. It may be oral or written, formal or informal. The nonverbal or extralinguistic aspect does not make use of words but may enhance or change the linguistic code. It has the following three elements:
What are the elements of nonverbal aspects?
A. Non-linguistic elements, B. Paralinguistic elements, and C. Metalinguistic element. Non-linguistic elements are devices used in conveying messages without entirely relying on speech or language. These non-speech elements fall under 7 categories. They are as follows: 1. Kinesics, or the language of the body. 2. Proxemics, or the language of space. 3. Chronemics, the language of time. 4. Haptics, the language of touch. 5. Olfactics, the language of smell. 6. Artifactual, the language of objects. And 7. Physical appearance. Paralinguistic elements. These include the following attributes of voice that accompany the words we say. 1. Vocal quality. 2. Pitch. 3. Tempo. 4. Volume. 5. Juncture. These factors can change the form and meaning of a sentence by acting across elements or segments of an utterance. These are treated in detail in the chapter on voice under voice variety. Metalinguistic element. This is the abstract element that takes place in the mind of communicators. Their awareness of the component units of language, such as sound, words, phrases, and sentences. This enables the language user to think about language independently of his or her comprehension and production abilities, talk about it, analyze it, and judge it as to concreteness or appropriateness. This linguistic intuition makes him or her decide about the grammatical acceptability of the language he or she produces and receives.
What are the types of communication?
Types of communication: intrapersonal, interpersonal, public communication, mass communication, and organizational communication. Intrapersonal is communication within oneself. It involves thinking, remembering, and feeling all the things we do internally. Interpersonal is communication among a relatively small number of people. Much of our communication takes place at this level. It may be A. Dyadic. This is communication between two people. It may be face-to-face, such as ordinary conversations, dialogues, or interviews. Cell phone conversation is also dyadic. Triadic. This communication is participated in by three people. Small group. Here, more than three people communicate. This is the enlarged type of communication usually done to solve problems. The committee, panel, symposium, brainstorming, and small business meetings are good examples of small group communication. Public communication. This involves communication between one and several other people. This is the large group type of communication. A public speech is an example. Primarily, it is a monologue one engages in rather than a dialogue. Mass communication. This covers other forms of public communication. These are the printed form, radio, television, and the movies. The tools or materials used are called mass media. Organizational communication is communication in the organization. It may be horizontal or vertical. The latter one may be upward or downward. It is these different situations that we usually find ourselves engrossed in to make possible the art of communication and the transfer of meaning from one person to another. What are the elements of communication? Elements of communication. The sender is the speaker or the communicator who has his or her own purpose, knowledge, interests, attitudes, skills, and credibility. The message is the idea being transmitted by the sender to the listener. It includes the three aspects of content, structure, and style. The channel is the medium or vehicle through which the message is sent. It may be verbal or visual. The latter is often supplemented with the pictorial and oral channels. The receiver is the target of the communication. He or she is the destination of the message. The listener, with his or her own purposes, knowledge and interest levels, attitudes, and listening skills. Feedback is the reaction given by the listener to the sender of the message. It is what completes the communication process. All five elements must be present in any communication situation. Without any one element, no communication takes place.